Hey guys, welcome back. So in the last video I had mentioned that we're looking at possibly getting a new ATV. Today we're going to take a ride up to go look at one. I went to go see it the other day and everything checks out, looks okay. Needs a little bit of work here and there, but it runs fairly decent. When I gave it a test drive, I drove it around this guy's street a little bit, and after about 3/4 of a mile, when you come off the throttle, it seemed to want to die. So I told him, I'm sorry, I need something that works properly for this amount of money. So he took it to his shop, and turned out to be a fuel pump. They replaced it, so should be good to go now. He says it's good to go, so we're gonna go take a ride up there and check it out, give it another ride, and if it checks out, we're gonna take it home. So I've got my trailer hooked up here, so let me get this thing turned around and we'll get on our way. Always an adventure backing up a trailer in tight quarters. We got it. Of course, we picked up a tree branch on the way. All right, let's go get some gas, go to the bank. I'll see you guys in a few. Alright guys, so we picked it up. He did in fact change the fuel pump and resolve that issue. I drove it around and it seems to be functioning how it's supposed to, so I'm happy with that. Got it right back there. We're heading home and I'll see you back there. Alright guys, here she is. So what we have here is a 2002 Polaris Sportsman 500. They call it their HO model, stands for high output. So I don't know if their regular 500 is not quite that much bored out or what makes it a high output. If any of you guys know, you want to leave it in the comments, go ahead, because I don't have a clue. Anyway, let me go over it with you guys, show you some things that I noticed that need attention, some things I like about the bike, some things I don't like about the bike, and we'll take it from there. I know, you're not supposed to call it a bike when it has 4 wheels on it, but old habits die hard. So this is also called their Remington edition, I believe, because it has this mossy oak camo finish on it. So they had one that's called Ducks Unlimited, which had kind of like a that reedy duck camo finish on it. This is mossy oak, so they call it the Remington edition. Now I came from having a Yamaha Bear Tracker 250. It's a much smaller bike. It was good in some ways and bad in others. It was good in that smaller size was really convenient around the homestead, getting into tight places and just carrying things and doing work, and it's very, very maneuverable, and I really liked that. This is a much bigger bike, so it's going to take a little bit getting used to. Another thing I really liked about the Yamaha was this reliability. It was just a real simple bike. I would hit that start button and it just started up every time and ran and did whatever I needed it to do. Now, I can't speak to the longevity on these bikes. I've heard on these ATVs, old habits die really hard. Anyway, I can't speak to the longevity on these things because I've heard that they're pretty reliable. It's like the 4th generation, I guess, series they call it, and they seem to be reliable based on what I read online. But as you guys all know, the internet is a funny place, and some people can swear by something and other people can condemn it and say it's the worst thing ever. So really the only true factor in that is time. This is an older machine, and it's carbureted, and I know that's like a pet peeve for a lot of people, is starting. Carburetors are notoriously harder to start than fuel injection. With that in mind, I went and started this thing and let it cool down about a bazillion times, and started it again, and it seems to fire right up right every time. So that's a good sign. Alright, so this is a 4-wheel drive. It has, I guess, I don't know if it's a true locking differential, but the rear and front hubs lock. So I didn't have that on the Yamaha Bear Tracker. It was just a rear wheel 2-wheel drive. So that's going to be a big help here. We have, very hilly property, especially when it goes back into the woods. It's just lots of hills and ravines, and the creek is down back that way. So having 4-wheel drive is definitely going to be a big deal for us. This bike is also an automatic. We have here, forward is high, back is reverse, the middle is neutral, and then the side and up is your low range, which is pretty good if for me, I'm going to be doing a lot of tilling in the garden and hauling trees and stuff like that, so I like having a low range feature on this. The Yamaha Bear Tracker had what's called an automatic clutch. You still had to use your foot to shift gears, but you didn't have to, there was no gear shifting on the handlebars or anything like that. So this machine did come with a winch from the factory, and it is a Polaris winch. One thing I don't like is it kind of has this cheesy switch for it. You know, you kind of turn it to, you know, set your winch out and turn it in to pull it in. I'm going to be using these racks, or I always use these racks on ATVs a lot for carrying feed and things like that, and I think setting a bag of feed down on top of this and possibly having an accidental, you know, let out of the cable would be not a good idea at all. So I'm probably going to look to, this winch is a little finicky too, so I might change it for a newer winch, or at least just try to wire in a new switch. I don't know, I haven't got to that part yet, but I definitely don't like that being there. Some things I have to do to it in the immediate future, I don't have to, but I want to, is this guy went and put duct tape around this lower light pod and the upper light pod just to keep things from rattling. Really not necessary. I know sometimes these little clips in here break, but this stuff's all fixable, and I'm going to go ahead and, you know, get some goop off or something and get all this tape residue off of there, because I'm a little bit on the OCD side when it comes to stuff like that, and I don't like it. So we're going to get that cleaned up. Tires aren't terrible, but they're probably going to need to be replaced in the near future. I think I can definitely go a bit longer on them, though. I don't do like the mud stuff that a lot of people do with these machines. This is going to be, you know, strictly a machine for work on the farm here, and in the fall when we hunt, you know, we'll take this back in the woods and we'll be able to hook up our cart and hopefully tow some deer out with it. This is not going to be a mud toy, so I don't need to put, you know, a lot of people, they get into customizing these things, they put, you know, really nice wheels on it, and these big fancy mud tires, and that's all fine and great, and fancy lights, that's fine, but this is a work machine for us. Another thing I've got to do, which I heard is a common problem on these machines, is you guys saw in that video clip when I picked up the bike, or not when I picked it up, when I was testing it out over at the guy's house over there, the speedometer doesn't work. And I know the four-wheel drive on these things is linked to the speedometer. Now that has already been bypassed because the four-wheel drive does work. I have tested it. So it's just the speedometer doesn't work. Unfortunately, these things from Polaris are incredibly expensive. I think they go for about $300 or somewhere in that neighborhood. What a lot of people do is they just get what's called a GPS speedometer that fits the hole. You get them for like $60 online, and you just have like a GPS sensor somewhere on the bike, and it just senses your speed by GPS. You know, it's not that a speedometer is completely necessary for what I'm doing around here, but I still like it to work regardless. Another silly thing is they had put some duct tape on the seat where there was like little rips and cracks. So they sell tons of seat covers for these things in a variety of colors and styles. So it's really not hard to do. I'll probably order another seat cover, get that, maybe I'll change the foam cushion too, I don't know, get that all stapled up and looking good. And then something I'm kind of silly about, these plastics and the rack over here, they were kind of faded and not the greatest shape, so I guess he wanted to be a nice guy and he kind of spray painted them up for me. I kind of wish he hadn't done that, even though I really appreciate the effort, because it was just kind of a quick job to make it look better. But as you guys can see, you know, he didn't really do the best job on that, so it's gonna be a little bit more work now. I gotta sand all that down and paint it, and I might do what I did on that dump cart, which is kind of like a spray-on bed liner. It's held up really, really well, so I'm probably gonna do that. Just have a little bit more work now. One thing I am gonna change immediately, and I noticed right away when I got the bike, is there's no 2-inch hitch receiver on that. It's just that standard hole where you put your hitch pin through. That's something that I really need to have here. So I went ahead and ordered that on Amazon. It's actually arrived already. Basically, it's a hitch receiver that you take these two nuts off right here. It bolts up, and then there's a bolt that goes through the standard hitch pin receiver here and locks it in place. I'll show you guys that installation in a minute, but for right now, maybe I'll take you guys for a little ride. off the bat, just taking it off-road, I can tell one thing for sure. That's a smooth riding machine. That little Yamaha 250 I had was a workhorse, but you'd get jolted around pretty good on it. This thing, in comparison, rides like a Cadillac. Really, really nice suspension on it, so I think I'm going to enjoy that feature a lot around the farm. Alright, so this is the piece I was telling you about. It's your standard 2-inch hitch receiver. It bolts right up there on those 2 bolts. And then you have the standard hitch pinhole receiver here. They include a bolt that threads right there into the bottom of that. Pretty good setup. Alright, so for this job, we're going to use a little bit of blue thread locker for our bolt. A 15/16 socket for that. A 9/16 socket for those 2 bolts. And a 9/16 open end wrench to catch the bolts on the back. Alright, let's get started. We're going to grab our bolt head in the back, hold on to that wrench. There we go. Lower to the other side. That's 2. I like it. Mounts up pretty good. So I think what I'm going to do is get this bottom bolt caught first, since we have a little bit of play and wiggle room right here. I think that's going to be important. Then we can tighten down on those. So we'll apply a little bit of blue schmutz on here. Get that started first. Okay. Get our nuts back on. Now this is one thing, they don't include washers with this, but you know, it does catch the plate fully, but I think I might go to the store after the fact, you know, after I try this out, and get some washers to put in between this nut and this plate, because it's only going to hold on by maybe, looks like maybe a 1/16 of an inch on each side, and if you get a decent amount of load pulling on here, I think you could probably cause some damage, so that should definitely have a washer on it. Alright, so everything started by hand. I'm going to go ahead and switch sockets here. Oh, oops, I got the wrong one. That's a 1/2-inch drive. Whoops. Be right back. There we go. Man, if I had $1 for every time I've done that. Switch back to our 3/8 drive with our 9/16 socket. Get our wrench on here before we start tightening these down. Nice. And that's a wrap. Actually, guys, I lied. We forgot to put our washers on our bottom bolt. Almost done. Now we're done. Well guys, in the world of mechanical work, that might be the easiest job I've ever done. I did end up picking this up too. Pretty neat. It's kind of a 3-in-1 hitch adapter. So you've got your standard 2-inch ball on here. You've got the pin receiver, so we can use our dump cart with our pin. And you've got a bar that's welded in here that's basically if you want to use like a toe strap or something like that. So kind of the best of 3 worlds, if you will. So kind of a neat little pickup. I'm going to go ahead and get that slid into there, and then I'll wrap this installation up. So that actually works out kind of cool because it doesn't really stick out all that far. I mean, looking straight down, maybe, yeah, right about there. You've got about 2.5 inches that poke out, so it doesn't take up a lot more room. But it also comes out just enough so that it's easy to work when you're hooking things up here. You can hook up our cart right here. We got our bull hitch. Bull hitch is going to be nice when we're towing our mobile chicken coop around the property. That comes in handy. So I'm pretty happy with the installation, guys. Whew. It's a little moist out here in the great steamy state of South Carolina today. So my little man had so much fun riding that thing, I decided to take him for a trail ride back in the woods, and we had a great time. I think he's hooked, as am I. One thing I did notice that takes a little bit of getting used to is that it has something called the engine braking system. You'll see it says EBS down on the bottom by the engine over there. When you take your thumb off the throttle, or if you throttle down, the engine brakes itself and it slows you down. I'm used to going into a freewheel, basically, where you just kind of coast down a hill. So this is, you actually it kind of helps to give it a little bit of gas when you're going down a hill. So I think it's probably a really good system. It's just something that's going to take a little bit of getting used to for me, since I'm used to just kind of coasting right down a hill. But anyway, guys, I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's going to serve us well. I paid $2,500 for that, and we had a local person made a GoFundMe for us when our ATV got stolen, and had to come out of pocket a little bit, but it really helped out a lot. So I'm super thankful to my community for helping me out with this. I'm super thankful for you guys for sticking around and watching. We're going to be doing some more stuff to the ATV to get it in ship shape, and we're cranking away and getting a lot of stuff done here on the homestead. I know I haven't been too prolific with making videos lately, but there's been a lot going on, and we're starting to get back into the swing of YouTube now. So thanks for being with me. If you haven't subscribed, please do so, and please click that like button and leave comments. I'd love to hear all your comments and get back to you guys. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Be good.